Good morning, this last day of 2024. It is 9:30. The Board of Commissioners for Richland County are in session. We are Commissioners Banks, Mears, and Vero, along with our auditor is here.
Want to make sure Commissioner Bureau is gonna get the lunch on Monday, that's all.
We'll get to that.
Lunch is,
And our
by the way.
clerk,
Yeah, it's
Stacy,
Monday.
All right.
Yeah, you should show up then.
our clerk Stacy Crawl is here, and Andrew Keller, our administrator. And can we start with certifying the record of proceedings, December the 19th?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Banks,
Yes.
Mr. Barrow,
Yes.
Mears.
Abstain, Emily.
Okay. Yeah.
Wield the gavel with gusto today. Reorganization Thursday.
Okay. Can we approve the ARPA federal procurement policy? Andrew, do you want to address anything or do we?
That is a relatively simple update. As you know, the law changed our state procurement thresholds. Across the board, we saw a lot of increases from 50,000. That goes up from year to year based upon 3% increment. So we needed to update our procurement policy to match that change. We made a number of other more minor changes to the procurement policy. We do recommend it be adopted.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Banks,
Yeah.
Mr. Barrow,
Yes.
Mr. Mears.
Yes.
Okay. And can we approve the extension with the Ohio State Historical Society for the 106 block grant reviews for the CDBG property?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Banks,
Yes.
Mr. Barrow,
Yes.
Mr. Mears.
Yes.
And can we set the 2025 mileage reimbursement rate at 70 cents per mile?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Banks,
Yes.
Mr. Barrow,
Yes.
Mr. Mears.
Yes.
The motion to authorize 2 hours of unpaid leave for wastewater employee.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Mr. Barrow,
Yes.
Yes.
2024 incumbents.
So moved.
Whoa, just a second. I have any comments? First, I need to,
on encumbrances.
oh, no. Second, sorry.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow, Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
And can we discuss
Okay.
approval of the 2024 year-end appropriations and transfers?
So the first bit of good news there is we look like last week, it's ever changing end of year everywhere, private sector, public sector. The dog warden actually looks like they're going to be positive for the year without needing any monies. First look this morning, Stacy and I both came in with the same thing, looked at the dog warden balance and they're 60,000 to the good. They're not flush with cash, but we asked them to stay positive as a non-general fund and they did. So I'm gonna make a phone call to Missy so we can withdraw that request. I do want to talk about though, and Daryl, maybe you can speak to this. Philosophy of the board dating back to 2017 and Cliff taking over from Maryland was we really have put an emphasis on we'll never say never, but we thoroughly review requests for monies to be transferred into the salary line item. Doesn't mean people may not be short or you had to hire someone at a higher salary or there was overtime. So we understand that you may not always be precise with your budget request. But there are several offices or departments or agencies moving money into the salary line item. That would be the recorder. It's only a couple $100 still. More particular though, Daryl, I'm showing that the Solid Waste Authority wants $3,300 moved into salaries. Now I know that's not general fund. I know they have the money. And they're not asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars, but that's pretty substantial. When I see that, to me, that says, hey, there could be bonuses here, which is fine. But we certainly need to continue to get this across for next year, that even if it's at the end of the year, people need to put in their letters, well, the line item's short. That's not enough. That is not a reason for the transfer. So at least maybe Daryl, if you could speak to why they may be needing that amount, and Stacy, if you have any additional information. So if any members of the public ever listen to this, they want to know why end of year dollars are going into salaries.
Yes, I can address that. One of our things that our director, Eddie Hale, who's been there now 5 years. One of the things that he initiated years ago as a bonus program, and it's a earned bonus. This the workers, by stripping the electric cords that are there, they gather the copper and they sell the copper. And he's expanded it to, they take some minerals and take some valuable pieces of the computers that are turned in, and they resell them. And the water, the soil, or the solid waste board, half of it goes to them, half of it goes into a bonus program. And it was a bigger bonus because they've done better on there. So with the bonus, and it's divided up equally among the board, decided to include, it went up so much that we decided to include, talking about the solid waste board, include Eddie in that. And he wasn't anticipating that, and wasn't anticipating how much that fund was growing. That's part of the reason, covers part of it. And part of it, I guess, would be he didn't budget as well as he should have on that.
Okay, and again, they have many employees, so 3,300 spread over a decent number of employees is not astronomical. I just so we go on the record with that. The other group, then I saw, again, not a lot of money. Stacy, I show that law library is transferring 978.94 from legal research into salaries. The letter again, so can we make sure next year there are reasons for transfers into salary? Do we know why that may be?
Yeah, I believe his board gave him a bigger raise of the year.
We know if they're on the wage scales?
I don't.
Not. Okay, so we'll have to have that discussion next year, okay. Then the only other thing I showed then, if you look at it's our office, Dayspring. They would like to request the following transfers, and just noting that, again, it's only 800 in the salary. Now, they have a lot of turnover, so that's much. I just want to note that on the record, that they're transferring out of an insurance line item to salary and health insurance buyouts to about $1,000. So please note next year, let's have Michelle put why that is. But again, they have a lot of people, a lot of turnover. That is not uncommon for $800. So with that said, I'll make the motion to approve all those minus the dog warden, which we can remove.
So moved. Or you made your motion, I should
Yep.
second.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Anything else?
Okay. Yes, actually, we need to do this by year end. It's a shame Carl won't be here to report on this, but a little bit of bad news, good news, going over 2024 year county general fund performance as our auditor for those watching, which is nobody. He did win the lunch bet on the revenue projection, and which makes it even worse.
Couldn't hear that down here.
I mean, he had a real good year. He was $15,000 off. So clearly we're gonna have to review this because no way he's that good. So, I mean, I think he knew ahead of time, and he was only 15 grand under the final amount. So with that being said, kudos also to Stacy, you really put this together. It looks like, again, there could be a few dollars and cents based off of bills. We're going to come into the year on the revenue side, 48,951, 840.61. That is roughly 9.7% better than expected. So very, very good there. You can't, when your revenues outpace your projections by nearly 10%, that's pretty good. Conversely, also good, it's looking like expenses. Again, if you recall, we were at 44.6. They're gonna come in at 41,007,505.47. That's roughly 9% under expenses. So this actually is a kudos to all our offices and departments who really do good work and are conservative in their projections. So when you do better on revenue and better on expenses, certainly leads you to come to the conclusion that you had a pretty good year from the taxpayer standpoint. And then therefore, it looks like we're going to come net revenue over, or revenue over expenses to the net 7,944,335.14. So we will be roughly a little under $8 million to the good. So the question remains is to, what do we do with the dollars? And Stacy, Andrew and I met, and again, great job, Stacy, to putting this all together. So here's the recommendation and motion I will make to the board. And then there can be discussion obviously after that. So, we know we kind of have, there was roughly 4 projects at the end of the year. We were looking at, we've already approved 2 of them. One would be the Mansfield Main Street Improvement Project at $450,000. The Wayfinders contribution of $500,000. If any members of the public want to listen to this, the way we're able to contribute to the Main Street Improvement Project is we are waiving $450,000 of their jail fee to us. And the way we're going to take care of that on the budget side, then it will be to, at the start of the year, grow our carryover, okay? And then we'll transfer monies into that revenue line item. So what I'm recommended is that we take our carryover, which began the year at about 7,944,335 million. I'm going to recommend that we grow that by 1.5 million, but that, again, we're not truly growing the carryover by 1.5. We need to cover encumbrances. The Bearcat project, which we still haven't because we're sharing that with the other police departments, and the Main Street Improvement Project. So really, at the end of the day, our carryover of, it's only going to grow by about $500,000. So again, let me rephrase that. We came into the year, I think I misspoke, at about $9.7 million carryover, and we're really only going to grow it, which by about 500,000, which isn't even 5%. So slight growth in our carryover. Next, we have a budget stabilization fund, also known as the rainy day fund. We're capped at how much we can put in, but it looks like we can put in another 2.2 million into our budget stabilization fund. So that would be my recommendation. Always good to save for a rainy day, no pun intended. We all were around in 2009 and 2010 when the floor bottomed out. And while we weren't here, we know the county had to have furloughs. And it is our hope that if, hopefully that day will never come again, but if we do, we will have money saved for that rainy day. My next recommendation would be to put, if you recall, last year we opened up a special reserve account, special revenue, special reserve. That's to pay for any unknown payroll anomalies or payouts. Also, although we are about 8 years away from our 27th pay, we estimate that cost will be 1.2 million. We put $500,000 in this year. My recommendation would be let's just budget for that and put in another 700,000. It'd be nice to know that if things really get tight 8 years from now, whether we're here or not, that the county will have set aside close to all of that 27th pay. Certainly, it's our hope that we can put some more money in there over the years, so it's not completely zeroed out 8 years from now, but in a year where we had a good year, it might not be a bad idea to put about 700,000 into special reserve. My last recommendation would be to put the remaining balance into capital projects, also known as our Richland Reinvestment Fund. Now we know we have a couple more projects we're gonna be looking at. We've already talked about one, which is air conditioning in the dog wardens. And we know we're gonna pay wayfinders out there. We do anticipate another request from the Richland County Historical Society for some improvements out at Oak Hill. That's $100,000. I'm not minimizing $100,000, but not a significant amount in terms of large scale projects. So I show the balance is gonna roughly be about 3,544,335, roughly 3.6 million in capital. Our money will go into capital. Important to note that Josh submitted a capital projects list showing all outstanding capital projects of about 2.2 million. We certainly would have money to cover every outstanding capital project with just the balance of this year, not what's already in the fund now. Every single capital project that Josh is showing, we have the money to do. So that's certainly good. So that would be my recommendations. That is my motion. Certainly open to any questions or comments from you guys.
I have no questions. I'll second.
I would think this is a very good way of handling our money and appreciate three of you getting together, planning this and then running it, bringing Cliff and I in this morning and discussing it and furthering our opinion on it. And this being the final thing we're gonna vote on, we're ready for a vote.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
Do we,
Before you start, I just want to say thanks. Stuck to your guns. Very much appreciated.
All did. Thank you for your help.
okay, and we're going to, next meeting is going to be Thursday at 9:30.
That's what's on the schedule, yes.
Yeah, you know, depending on whether we're celebrating or crying in our beer, if we're rooting for one team or the other.
All I know is I won. So,
Congratulations. And anytime the Southeast Conference, I'm not rooting for any team, just the Southeast Conference to lose. So go Notre Dame, I guess.
Yeah, baby.
I have no problems with that. However,